It's the Chris Gray Show. This show was an interview show, still is, I guess, but I've never done a video component before. I just wanted to start a new era of this show, the golden era, the modern era, to reflect what a wonderful society we live in now. It's Wednesday, November 5th, the day after one of the top two worst elections you've ever experienced, or top two best. Wow, that's crazy. It could really be either one. Um, for a lot of people, one of the worst. I wrote an email last night to my mailing list, and it was well received. And I thought to myself, oh, maybe I should put my voice out there a little more for people who are looking for something to think about. Let's talk about the election. I was not surprised. A few weeks ago, I did say I think Trump is not going to win, but I won't be surprised because this country is really capable of anything, you guys. We're capable of anything. And one of the things we're capable of is we're capable of ignoring a whole bunch of reasons to not vote for somebody and just doing it because it's funny. I feel like young men 18 to 29, college educated or not, I think to a certain degree, a lot of them are just like, it would be funny. Like, this dude represents me. Let's put him back in. Anyway, I hope you're having a good day. You're probably not, right? Because of what happened. I have a couple thoughts I want to say. One is that, obviously it sucks. What you're experiencing right now is grief. Grief for what you thought America was, because it's not. America has revealed itself to be even more misogynist and racist than we thought it was. What I'm not going to do today, and I don't think I have a lot of energy for in general, is doing a ton of debrief about what Kamala could have done or not done. There's already a bunch of people lining up to say this is why it didn't work or whatever. She lost by a lot. So it's like very unlikely that this strategic thing or that was going to make the difference. This is a huge shift in the way people voted. And I do think it's funny for leftists to say, oh, she shouldn't have appealed to the center. She shouldn't have put out Dick Cheney. She should have advocated for progressive policies. It's kind of funny to think that you think that saying a different policy would appeal to voters who clearly don't care about policy at all. I mean, some portion of the voters yesterday didn't even know that Joe Biden had dropped out. It's hard not to give in to the idea that we're kind of appealing to really, really dumb people. And then, like I think, one thing that doesn't work, I think is clear, doesn't work, is being smart. Being smart at people doesn't seem to work. I appreciate Parker and Dean from the TikTok worlds. They get on there and they debate people. And I appreciate Pete Buttigieg going on Jubilee and talking to people and stuff like that. I've often in my life felt, oh, I could just rationally lay out a case for something to people. And that's what's going to make the difference. Does it? I don't know if it does. Certainly, I think a particular brand of being smart at people that I think Pete, as much as I love him, I think does this. I think Dean and Parker from TikTok do this. I think a lot of leftists do it. I think a lot of liberals do it. I think a lot of neo-libs do it as well. I think a lot of people that went to college think that you can talk to somebody that didn't go to college and be smart at them, and they'll just have no choice but to agree with you. And what I see a lot of times is people just sort of tolerating these conversations, and then they just go back to voting the way they were going to vote. Nevertheless, we've had a lot of being smart at people. We've had a lot of John Oliver's and Rachel Maddow's. And I mean, I'm not saying, I don't know what the alternative is. I don't know how you be dumb at somebody in a progressive way, but being smart at people doesn't seem to be working. If anything, it seems to be alienating a lot of people. And I don't think that if Kamala had come out with some super progressive, if she'd put out a website with, I want universal basic income or whatever, every single leftist thing you want. I want to immediately sanction Israel, and I want to, like, everything you want her to run on, right? I don't think this would have moved the needle 5 or 6 points or whatever it was we needed it to move, right? Yeah, I think there's probably parts where Kamala could have been more direct about the way she answered questions or whatever, but also everybody was like, she destroyed that debate. Like, until 24 hours ago, everybody was essentially like, this was a great campaign. I said I wasn't going to debrief it. I don't want to debrief it. The point is that a much simpler explanation is that the country is misogynist and racist, and adding the two together, which is the original definition of intersectionality, fucks you over even more than either individual category would. I mean, it almost makes me think, because we went back and we did victim blaming with Hillary, just like, oh, how come Hillary didn't appeal to the Rust Belt, right? Is it possible that the Rust Belt just doesn't want a woman in charge? Like, go back to when Biden was about to drop out. Those unions, the Teamsters, right? I believe it was the Teamsters that ended up they polled their members and they supported Trump over Kamala, even though Biden helped secure their pensions, right? I bet they would have voted to support Biden. Now, Biden's not viable for so many reasons because he was not doing well, right? It's possible Biden would have picked up more voters than Kamala did in Michigan because of that, right? It's possible Biden might have even gotten a pass on Gaza from the people in Michigan that didn't vote for Kamala over the same. There are people that voted for Jill Stein over that same issue. I don't think we can discount misogyny and racism for why this happened, and which is really depressing. I think that is a form of grief that women and people of color can be feeling about this election, to just be like, ugh, we're not nearly as close to equality as we would like to be, right? I mean, there's an active 70-something million group of people that's like mostly white people and Latino men that don't want the us to have equality. That was one of my thoughts. It's just, like when Clinton was like, is the economy stupid? It's the misogyny stupid. I mean, it's sad, but anyway, I think if you're a woman or a person of color, I think you should experience grief. I think everybody can experience grief over this election. But I also wanted to point out something else when I was scrolling through my Facebook, because I'm Gen X. Also, I think Gen X kind of fucked up this election as well. Because in the NBC exit poll, I saw like Kamala won every age group except Gen X. I mean, when you're just going by age, anyway. Scrolling through my Facebook, a lot of people went black screen, black profile picture. Every single person on my Facebook feed that did that was a white man. And the vast majority of sentiment I've seen on my Facebook feed that's like, I give up. I want to move to another country. This sucks. All of this sucks. I give up. Vast majority of that sentiment has been from white men. And I think part of it is that bristles me is y'all can't quit. The way this country is structured, you're the ones that have to help us out of this. Or you get more of this, to be honest. You can give up, I guess. I mean, there's nothing stopping you. And so you can't quit. You're not allowed to. I think that the reason the rest of us aren't going to give up or even necessarily entertain that notion too much is that even though this really sucks, it's not that different than what we've experienced. I grew up in Texas. I was a gay Chinese kid growing up in Texas. Like, I've been in the pit. I was born in the pit. My whole life. I was born in Mississippi. I lived in North Carolina, and then I grew up. Basically my whole childhood was in Texas. So I've adapted to being in a hostile environment my entire life. And so feeling that a bunch of people don't see the world the way that you see it, I think it's kind of like that James Franco meme of like, oh, first time? And it's not the first time, it's the second time at least, right? But and I know it's disappointing, but part of me is kind of like, you know what? Y'all need to buck up. White people and white men specifically, if you're disappointed about this result, like, this is the world we're in. This is the world that all of us have complacently created, right? And this is the world that a lot of you benefit from passively. I just think back about like how many improv shows still have all white people in them. And they're all well-meaning people. And people are so tired of hearing people like me complain about it. And it's 2024, and then this election happens. I'm saying, put me in your improv shows, and this won't happen in the future. Okay, what else? Don't give up. I guess go be sad for a little while. You have till January. Oh. Do we think it would be funny if we all stormed the Capitol on January 6th? And then when they complained, well, first of all, they wouldn't care because we'd be like breaking, oh God, this sucks. Kamala has to like certify the election. That really sucks. Okay, so we storm the Capitol on January 6th. We break all the shit. Do we have to take a shit in Nancy Pelosi's office? Is that something they did? Then we block the election. We offer alternative electors. We try to get a bunch of people to go like faithless elector or whatever. We ask the governor of Georgia to find 11,000 votes or however many we need. Then when people complain, we just go like, what? It's no big deal. Y'all did it. I feel feisty. I feel energized. I think that what I've learned over the last 2 years, which I knew about myself, but I really learned, is that I am motivated by spite. Genuinely motivated by spite. What I mean by that is that it doesn't. Me being motivated by spite actually results in pretty positive productivity. It doesn't put me in a spiral of, oh no, like I'm depressed, I'm not going to do anything. And it doesn't really even turn into projects that are tinged with negativity. I mean, look at this one. Look how positive this one's been. Spite is a good motivator for me. And now I've refilled my tank. A good way to find a silver lining in situations like this is to think about how it can benefit you personally and find an angle for your own personal gain within these situations. And I know that sounds crass, but we are in a capitalist society, and in some ways, it's just a form of survival that figure out what your grift is going to be. Now, this is going to be my grift. I'm going to do this podcast. I'm going to talk to people. I'm going to make them feel better. And eventually, the commercial forces around it, advertising, sponsorships, audience, will create a system that inevitably corrupts my own message. And then we'll clip this clip back in episode 500, and we'll just think how far we have fallen. Anyway, you will survive this. You survived it the last time. Some shit's going to go down. It's going to be very interesting to live through. The art is going to be great over the next 4 years. My Scarlett Johansson show is going to be booked up the wazoo, you guys. Racism is not solved. Thank God for my bookings. Yeah, we're going to have some interesting conversations about what works. It is fascinating. I will say, I'll give you some, I don't know if these are silver linings, but this is very interesting to me in terms of our elections. I don't know a ton about elections, but what I've been told my whole life is that you need a lot of money to win elections. And the thing I've been told as an adult is that your ground game and your field team really makes a huge difference. Well, Kamala had way more money and, by all accounts, an infinity level better of ground game than Trump. And by many accounts, Hillary had a better ground game in 2016 as well. And it didn't work. All the door knocking, all leaving literature at people's houses, leaving sticky notes on people's doors to remind them to vote, it didn't work. It didn't even get out the Democratic vote, right? Much less Trump, who didn't really have a ground game, outsourced his stuff to Elon's company, who was full of fraud, didn't knock on doors, didn't do anything, got their vote out, right? So it's just something to think about. Maybe all that ground game was necessary to get Kamala even to the level that she got to in the face of her intersectionality in terms of being discriminated against as a woman or as a person of color, or she shouldn't have featured Dick Cheney on the stage, blah, 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 whatever. Whatever. Add up all the disadvantages. Maybe the field team and the ground game was necessary to get her even to this point. Yeah. I hope you have a good day. If you'd like, go to my Patreon, chrisgrace.com/Patreon. No. Patreon.com/chrisgracecomedy, where I'm going to be releasing bonus episodes of this. All the episodes in the future will be on there for this. Because, I don't know, we're all searching for something, right? And so this is a way for me to do something to try to help people. And eventually, hopefully this won't just be about politics, but it is going to be about the world. And right now, the world is about politics. I mean, I can't even go on my Reddit without seeing, like, I've unsubscribed from politics. I've unsubscribed from 538. And then every fourth post is like a subreddit that has nothing to do with politics. It'll be like cupcake recipes. And it'll be like, what do I do now with my cupcake recipes now that Trump has been reelected? So that's what the world is right now. So that's what today's episode is about. Today's episode is sponsored by Trader Joe's Peri Peri sauce, which is delicious and a little bit spicy. All right. Everything's fine. Keep breathing. Just survive long enough to see my next episode. Take care.